Proportions. A proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equivalent. To verify if a given equation is a proportion, use the same methods discussed earlier to determine if the two ratios are equivalent. Click here to review the method. If one of the numbers in a proportion is unknown, use the common factor approach to determine its value. Alright, so to find the value of x, we're going to be multiplying the bottom by 3 as well. You can see here that in order to go from 2 to 6, you have to multiply by 3. So we're going to do the same thing to the denominator, and we see that 3 times 3 is 9. Here we have 28 over 32 equals 7 over x. To get from 28 to 7, you would divide by 4. Therefore, let's divide 32 by 4 to get 8. The answer is 7/8. When two ratios are equivalent, their products of cross multiplication are equal. Thus, another method to verify if an equation involving two ratios is a proportion is to check if the cross products are equal. So, is 5 over 2 equal to 30 over 12? Well, 5 times 12 is 60, and 2 times 30 is also 60. So yes, these ratios are equivalent. Let's decide whether the given equation of the two ratios is a proportion. So 5 gallons is to 15 square feet, as 2 gallons is to 6 square feet. Well, let's cross multiply. 5 times 6 is 30 gallons times feet squared, and 2 times 15 is also 30 gallons times feet squared. Since the cross products are equal, this is a proportion. In this way, we can also determine an unknown value in a proportion using cross multiplication. 4 over 5 equals 12 over x. So that means that 4 times x equals 5 times 12. 5 times 12 is 60. Then just divide both sides by 4, and we see that x equals 15. Alright, 7 over 8 equals x over 48. Therefore, 7 times 48 must equal 8 times x. 7 times 48 is 336. Then go ahead and divide both sides by 8 to get x by itself. And 336 divided by 8 is 42. At a farmer's market, the cost of apples depends on their weight. This table shows the relationship between the weight of the apples in pounds and their cost in dollars. Are the variables in proportion? If the ratio is the same for each weight, then the variables are in proportion. Calculate the ratios and complete the table. So a cost of $7.50 for 3 pounds. So 7.5 divided by 3 is $2.50 per pound. If you do this for each one, you get $2.50 per pound. Since the variables always have the same ratio, they are in proportion. At a bakery, the cost of donuts depends on the number purchased. This table shows the relationship between the number purchased and the cost. If that ratio is the same for each number, then the variables are in proportion. Determine that. These numbers are proportional at 80 cents per donut until 13 donuts are purchased. Then it drops to 74 cents per donut. This bakery offers a baker's dozen, 13 for the price of 12. The variables are only in proportion up to 12 donuts. Proportions problem-solving strategies. Number 1, identify. Think about the information you're given and what you need to find. 2, analyze. Organize the given information to find what you need. In this case, set up a proportion based on the relationships described in the problem. Be sure to include the appropriate units. 3, solve. Find the unknown by solving the equation. Chocolates at a candy store cost $6 per dozen. How much does one candy cost? Round your answer to the nearest cent. We use equivalent rates to set up the proportion. So if it's $6 for 12 candies, how many dollars is it for one candy? Here's our proportion. So we cross multiply. $6 times one candy equals 12 candies times x. Solve for x. Divide both sides by 12 candies. The candies cancel, leaving us with $6 divided by 12. X equals 50 cents. It is 50 cents for one candy. There are 3 books per student. There are 570 students. How many books are there? We will use equivalent rates to set up the proportion. If there are 3 books for one student, there are X number of books for 570 students. Cross multiply. 3 books times 570 students equals 1 student times X. Therefore, 3 times 570 is 1,710. We just divide by 1 student, and what that does is the units for student cancel, giving us 1,710 books. The ratio of boys to girls is 4 to 5. There are 135 people on a team. How many are girls? How do we set up the ratios in this case? Given the ratio of 4 boys to 5 girls, we can determine the ratio of girls to the entire team as follows. We have 135 people here, and we want people to cancel out. So we really need to figure out the rate of girls per people. So boys to girls is 4 to 5, which means there's 4 boys to every 5 girls, which means out of 9 people, 4 plus 5, 5 of them are girls. So here we've created our rate, 5 girls for every 9 people. Then we can use that to set it equal to X girls out of 135 people. Cross multiply. 5 girls times 135 people equals X times 9 people. Divide both sides by 9 people. The people cancel, giving us 5 times 135, which is 675, divided by 9. So X would be 75 girls. So out of 135 people, 75 of them are girls. Sometimes your answer will be a decimal or a fraction that may not make sense as an answer. For example, the answer to a question can't really be 2.5 people, right? So double check. Reread the problem. Does your answer make sense? Do you need to round your answer? If so, which way should you round your answer?